It's been a while. Good meowing and good meowing, guys, gals, enemies, and YouTube catters. We're back. We're back with a brand new video. Been a little bit since our last video, since we last did one of these. We are back with another deck guide, deck tech, deck discussion, I guess, more so than anything. I know I've been away for a little bit. We haven't done one of these in a while, mainly because I feel like everything with White Forest has kind of been not necessarily figured out, but it's definitely like settled in a position now. Maybe if cards come up in the future, if metas change, sideboards change, things like that. But more or less the like main deck and strategy of White Forest is pretty much settled on. So that's why I haven't had a recent White Forest video. That being said, I do want to come out with another video sometime early next week, now that I finally got the cards in officially. It's been long asked about sideboarding for White Forest and what to bring in, what to bring out, what to side, what typically I play in the side versus like different strategies that you can play in the side for White Forest, like what's good, what's going to be good with the Justice Hunters meta coming up very soon at the end of the month. So there's still lots to discuss with that and like different mechanics and aspects of White Forest. Just the deck lists and things like that have kind of like settled down a little bit. So that being said, first and foremost, thank you for watching the video. As always, if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe, comment down below, all that good YouTube stuff. Especially now because YouTube has changed how they track videos. All right, now that all being said, since we're here with a new video, we're actually on a new deck. I wanted to try something different, wanted to playtest something different, and especially after watching Nats on stream this past weekend, a week ago, I guess, at this point, the video's coming out. There was one deck that I've been itching to play, itching to try. I just never got the cards in for it in time until now. And now that Nats is over and it actually performed very well, I'm excited. And I was excited to test this deck out earlier this week. And that is Orcus, baby. It's toss format all over again. Is this the best deck in the format now? Orcust Fiendsmith, if you haven't seen or kept track of Nats, Orcus Fiendsmith took first place. There's actually a few different Orcust builds out there currently right now, with like Orcus Mitsurugi, Orcus Fiendsmith Azamina, a lot of different builds. And I didn't think it was going to be as interesting as it was. This has always been like an archetype that, especially playing Master Duel, I really like the aesthetics of. I really liked how the monsters look. I like that they're all made out of instruments, things like that. And I like the lore behind them. So this was one deck that I was wanting to try and get my hands on and learn how to play at least. So it took me about 2 or 3 rounds to kind of like get comfortable with the actual lines and like what I do like on a full combo or how you like kill someone going second. But I really like this deck. This deck also plays very well under the meta hand traps right now. It doesn't care about Droll and Lockbird. Doesn't really care about Ash Blossom. You have multiple ways of sending from deck to grave with this list. Does not care about Themal Charmies, and we'll get into that here in a little bit. And more so than that, it gets to play all of those good hand traps as well. All of that being said, let's just get into it with this. Let's just get started. You will recognize this list. It is nearly 1-for-1 of the Nationals list, changing 1 card, I believe, just because I didn't want to drop too much money on this list for something that I just wanted to play on the side and kind of learn and figure out and see if I have fun with it before I like spend too much money. It is a 31 card main deck, and I actually did have a lot of fun with this. So first and foremost, we're of course on 3 Gearsu. Every list is going to have 3 Gearsu. This is your best 1-card starter for this deck. Gearsu is very strong right now, mainly because a lot of people are cutting in perms and effect veilers out of their deck because those are the least impactful hand traps, because they don't do enough against like other meta decks like Malice or Ryzeal. And so because of that, our normal summon Gearsu gets a lot of time to shine. This is your best starter because on normal summon or special summon of your Gearsu, you get to send any Orcus name or World Legacy name from your deck to the graveyard. But the kicker is, if this is your 1-card starter, if this is the only creature on your field, he has a second ability. And with that, you get to spawn 2 World Legacy tokens. You get to special summon 2 World Legacy tokens, one to your side of the field and one to your opponent's side of the field. So if your opponent misses their Mulcharming timing, if they miss their Imperm timing, they're running stuff like board breakers like Evenly Matched, Lightning Storm, things of that nature, to try and board break you going second as well, Gearsu just shuts it off. It is a very good starter, so they have to Mulcharming you on the summon of this card, or in response to this card. Whether it's Mulcharming Perulia, whether it's Charmy Fuwalos, they have to use it then. Continuing on with our Orcus names, we have 3 Harp Horror. This is the second best Orcus to start with, just because this has the strongest effect, being banished out of the graveyard. If you're not too familiar with Orcus, like the Orcus strategy or the Orcus archetype, a lot of their strength comes from getting them into the graveyard, and then they have the ability to banish themselves from the graveyard to activate an additional effect. So Orcus Harp Horror banishes itself from the graveyard to special summon any Orcus monster from your deck. Then we are on 2 Simple Skeleton. A lot of lists, like the Mitsurugi list, I believe only runs 1 Simple Skeleton, or like Orcus Nightmare. We're on the 2 skeletons because, again, we want to make sure all of our Orcus names are 1-card starters. And Orcus Simple Skeleton, while it's the worst of the 2, or worst of the 3, does still technically let us extend and get more bodies on the field if this is the only Orcus name that we have opened. And then the final quote-unquote Orcus name is our World Legacy Crown. This card has been made a lot better by the new support coming out of Battles of Legend Monster Mayhem. With the new Orcus Link 1, the Galatea Eye, you are able to special summon this, inherently special summon this from your hand to the zone that the Galatea Eye points to. And then not only is this an extender, but this is, if you can keep this on the field, this is also interruption. If you happen to watch the finals of the Nationals, it came up to where the opponent read this card, put it down, reread this card, read it again, and still played into it. Because whenever a monster that was special summoned from the extra deck activates their effect on the field, you can tribute this card, negate the effect, and destroy that card. So very, very strong, not only extender, but also if you have a way to keep it on the field, a good inboard piece as well. So that is all for our Orcus names, our Orcus monsters. Then we are on the 1 Orchestrated Babel and the 1 Orcus Crescendo. Both of these are able to be searched in your combo, so we only run 1 of each. Babel being searched by your new Link 1, Crescendo being set by the old Galatea, the Link 2 Galatea. And then we are on to the supplementary part of the deck, and I know what the comments are going to be saying. I apologize. I'm not a fan of it either. I don't like this engine at all, but it is very good. It is probably the most consistent generic engine currently in the game right now, and it's why like every just off meta archetype is using this engine, because you can make 2 monsters. It of course is the Fiendsmith engine. So we are on 3 Fiendsmith Engraver, the 1 Lacrima, and the 1 new alt art Luri. I mean, if you're watching this video, if you kept up with Yu-Gi-Oh for the past like what year now that Fiendsmith has been out, how long? Yeah, it's been about a year now. You know what this archetype does at this point. It helps you get 2 bodies on the field, helps you make a Desiree, helps you make a Wave High King Caesar, so you just have extra forms of interruption during your opponent's turn. It is what it is at this point. We are on 1 Tract and 1 Fiendsmith Paradise. The Nationals list was actually running 2 Tract, 1 Fiendsmith and Paradise. But again, I didn't want to spend too much money on this list if I didn't enjoy the list. I strongly feel like, if not very soon, sometime after Worlds, this Fiendsmith engine is going to be getting hit. So I don't want to dump too much money into extending the Fiendsmith engine, especially if I don't enjoy playing with it. for our hand traps, and there are a lot of them with this list, like I said, because our main deck monsters are so few, our engine is so small, we're able to fit in a lot of different interaction and hand traps, non-engine. And of course, we are on the 3 Ash Blossom for the Mulcharmies, the 3 Drolls to skip your opponent's turn when they search, after they search incorrectly. And then the 3 Fuwalos. These are the 9 god tier hand traps currently in the meta right now. Nearly every list is at least running, like any deck is at least running these 9 cards. Now again, because the Orcust engine is very small, we're allowed to run a lot more. And because of that, we are running 2 Perulia. I would definitely like to go up to a 3rd Perulia. I just don't have a 3rd one right now, and it's a $60 card, and I am broke currently after going to a wrestling pay-per-view. And then we are on 3 Nibiru. To make up for the 3rd Perulia, we put in the 3rd Nibiru. They're pretty interchangeable. Drawing into Nibiru, being able to hit your Mulcharmies and to draw into Nibiru is a great form of disruption, especially a lot of decks are playing into it right now without setting up, unless they're Fiendsmith and setting up. Wave High King Caesar going first. So it is a pretty good setup being able to run this much interaction. Now, speaking of interaction, we still have more, and I guess you would consider this hand traps as well. But we are on a Bestial Magnemite, Bestial Druisworm, and a Bestial Baldrake on the 3. Bestials are very strong right now in this current format. Not only do we get to interact with lists like Mitsurugi, where they tribute their monsters and try and bring them back, we also get to interact with the other Fiendsmith lists by banishing their tracks, banishing their engravers, things like that. It's very good in the mirror match as well, like against Orcus Mitsurugi, because you get to banish their Orcus names before they get to banish to activate their effects, get to keep them off their link climbing. Bestials are super strong right now. Helps against White Forest. We actually ran into that matchup earlier this week as well. And then finally, for our spells and traps, we are on 3 Forbidden Droplet. This is very good for not only board breaking, but getting monsters, getting your Orcus names out of your hand, or to dodge different forms of interaction and get them into the graveyard so you can then banish them for their effects. We are on the Foolish Burial, the one of to be able to dump that Orcus monster from your deck to your graveyard. And instead of the second tract, we are just on a Talents. So we have some more ways to play through hand traps and play through interaction. And finally, our 41st card is a Called by the Grave. So pretty standard list. But like I said, very low to the ground, very mid-rangey. Gets to grind your opponent out of the game. And it is just a different kind of playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And it's kind of a breath of fresh air to be able to just play the game, and if your opponent is going to droll your first search, this deck does not need a search hardly at all. Probably the worst time you could get drolled is if you have to start Engraver to get tracked, but even then, it's not the end of the world. You just go Orcus combo at that point. So for the extra deck, it's pretty straightforward. All the Fiendsmith stuff, our Requiem, our Moon of Closed Heaven, our Sequence, our Agnum Day, Necro Equipped Princess, Desiree, and Wave High King Caesar. If you're playing the Fiendsmith package, all of these cards come in. This is one of the things I dislike about the Fiendsmith package too, is that this is over half of your extra deck just for Fiendsmith engine, just for the different options that it can make and play into. Now, for the Orcus cards, we are on the 1 Galatea Eye. If you have not seen this card yet, this is the brand new Link 1 out of Monster Mayhem. First and foremost, this is a Link 1 you can use not only any Orcus monster or World Legacy monster, but that includes the token that you make off of your Gearsu, so you can keep your Gearsu body around. On the field, this card lets you send 1 card from your hand to the graveyard. So if you have like a Sybil Skeleton or an Orcus name in your hand after you've already normal summoned, this lets you get that as an extender pretty much. And then lets you add either a World Legacy monster or your orchestrated babble. So Galatea is almost always going to add your babble if you don't have access to it already, just because babble turns on all of your Orcus names in the graveyard, all of their effects in the graveyard, lets you use them as quick effects as well. But if you don't need your babble, if you need to extend, if you need another body for just like going second, then you are grabbing your World Legacy Crown. And World Legacy Crown, we talked about it a little bit earlier, is not only an extending body, it is also a form of interruption, since this is just a free inherent summon to the link zone that Galatea points to, and it negates the activation of a monster special summon from the extra deck and destroys it. Moving on, we have one of the Galatea 2, and the link to Galatea, the original Galatea. So you'll go from your Galatea I and Gearsu, usually into Galatea, the Orcust Automaton. And this lets you target one of your banished monsters, shuffle it back into your deck, and then you can set an Orcust spell or trap directly from your deck. Most of the time, this is going to set Crescendo, so you have another form of interaction going first. But if you already have Crescendo, you can set the field spell with Galatea and then activate the field spell, so that you have that set, and that means you can search the crown with the Galatea I. I also forgot to discuss Galatea I also has another ability in the graveyard where you can banish one of your Orcus monsters to special summon Galatea I from the graveyard as another extender. Then we are actually playing the Link 3, the Long Gearsu, Orcust Orchestrator. This card used to not be played in Orcus. This card used to be pretty bad. It lets us link climb into our bigger names now. Are in Lil Gearsu, brand new Link 4. A lot of the times you're going to be ending with Enlil Gearsu on the field and Ding Gearsu in your grave, so that you can Simple Skeleton, banish the Simple Skeleton to bring back the Ding Gearsu. And then the Ding Gearsu on special will be able to non-target send as another form of interaction against your opponent. And then your Enlil Gearsu gets to target one of your banished Orcust monsters, add it to your hand. Then you have to shuffle one card from your hand to the deck, and then Enlil Gearsu gets to non-target, take control of a face-up monster your opponent controls. And this gets to like shut off a lot of lines for a lot of opponents. It's also a permanent take. They do not get it back at the end of the turn. Matchup that I had, I was able to stop this Orcus Mitsurugi. They were already like down on like one card and normal summoned Harporer. I was able to go in Lil Gearsu, take the Harporer to keep them off from going Link 1 into full Orcus combo, because the Harporer never hit the graveyard either. They couldn't banish it to special summon from deck. So kind of just ran them out of resources with that. And then our final 3 cards for the list is pretty generic: IP Masquerena, SP Little Knight, and a Chaos Angel. Chaos Angel, not only do you get to make with your Fiendsmith monsters, making like a light using a Lacrima and Engraver, but because your Gearsu and your Harporer are also level 4s, and they're darks, you can make light and dark Chaos Angel using them and Engraver as well. So this list is, like I said, is very sweet. There is a little bit of a learning curve, and you are like properly punished if you do not use your resources correctly, since most everything in the extra deck is a one of, and your Crescendo and Babble are one ofs as well. You have to be very smart with your resource management to make sure that you have good follow-up on your turn 3 if you're going, or your turn 2 if you've gone first, or being able to play through your opponent's board as well. But again, this list is a lot of fun. If you're looking for something new to try that won't break your bank, I highly recommend giving Orcust Fiendsmith a shot, at least for now, until Justice Hunters comes out and we get a brand new meta. This deck is very strong and potentially, according to Nationals, potentially one of the best decks in the format, if not the best deck in the format currently. So let me know what you think about this deck. If you've been playing Orcust as well, let me know how you enjoyed it, what lines you've come up with as well. Because I'm definitely interested in learning more about this deck. like, comment, subscribe, all that good YouTube stuff. As always, I appreciate any support from any of these videos talking about Yu-Gi-Oh as well. And then with the Justice Hunter stuff coming up, we're going to be looking at Yummy, I believe, is going to be the first deck we're going to try and put together, since that's like the most self-contained archetype. And currently Vanquished Soul and K9 cards are through the roof right now. So it's going to be a little bit on that, at least for the channel. But that being said, guys, gals, MBs, YouTube catters, thank you for watching the video. And as always, good night.